Royce Monroe had built everything with his own hands. At 34, he owned 3 construction sites across Dallas, employed 47 men, and had turned his father's bankrupt contracting business into a $1 million operation. His calloused hands told the story of a man who'd started swinging hammers at 16 and never stopped. His wife, Marjorie, didn't understand that part of him anymore. "You're always covered in dust," she'd said that morning, wrinkling her nose as he kissed her goodbye. "Maybe you should hire someone else to do the actual labor." Royce had laughed it off. 6 years of marriage, high school sweethearts who'd promised forever. She'd been full of dreams once. Now she spent his money on designer clothes and complained he worked too much. He pulled into the driveway at 4 p.m., 3 hours early. The Henderson project had wrapped ahead of schedule. He was going to surprise her with dinner reservations at that Italian place she loved. The garage door groaned open. That's when he saw it. A silver Mustang parked where his work truck usually sat. His gut twisted. He killed the engine and sat there, hands tight on the steering wheel. His mind raced through explanations, innocent ones. But Royce Monroe hadn't built a successful business by ignoring warning signs. He stepped out quietly and moved to the door connecting the garage to the kitchen. Through the small window, he could see into the living room. Marjorie stood there in the silk robe he'd bought for their anniversary, laughing as a muscular man in designer jeans pulled her close. His hands roaming places only a husband's should. Royce burst through the door. Marjorie's face cycled through shock, fear, then something worse. Irritation. "Royce. You're not supposed to be home." Clearly. His eyes locked on the other man, who hadn't even bothered to look embarrassed. If anything, he was smirking. "Dante fam," the man said, stretching like a cat. "And I'm what Marjorie actually wants. A real man. Not some blue-collar dirt monkey. Get out of my house." Dante laughed. "Your house? Marjorie's been telling me all about how she owns half of everything. Actually, we've been planning." "Dante, shut up," Marjorie snapped. But Royce had already heard enough. The pieces were clicking. Her sudden interest in his business finances. The questions about life insurance. The push to add her name to the company accounts. "How long?" His voice was deadly quiet. 8 months, Dante answered, grinning. "She called me 2 weeks after your last anniversary. Said she was bored." Royce moved forward, fists clenched. He'd never hit a woman but this smug piece of. "Dante." Marjorie's voice went cold. "Get the bat." The words didn't register at first. Then Dante walked to the hall closet and pulled out Royce's own aluminum Louisville Slugger. The one he'd had since high school. "Marjorie. What are you doing?" His wife pulled out her phone. The camera light blinked red. "Insurance, baby," she said sweetly. "Dante's going to defend himself from your violent attack. And I'm going to be the traumatized widow who gets everything." Dante swung. What they hadn't planned for was Royce's cousin. Octavio Lester had left Dallas 12 years ago under a cloud of blood and federal investigations. The Lester family had run organized crime in North Texas for 3 generations. Octavio had been the youngest boss in family history, taking over at 28 when his father died. Then the FBI came knocking. He made a deal, disappeared into witness protection, and the empire crumbled. Most of the family considered him a traitor. Not Royce. Octavio had been the one who made sure a 14-year-old Royce was taken care of after his parents died. Money for school. A job at a construction site. Protection from the streets. They'd been like brothers. Then Octavio vanished into the system. But he never stopped checking in. Once a year, a text from a burner phone. "Still breathing, primo. You." The last one had come 2 weeks ago. Royce had saved the number. Now, bleeding on his garage floor, he reached for his phone with broken fingers. The first swing had caught him across the shoulders. The second shattered his left arm. By the 5th, he'd stopped counting. Dante swung like a man possessed, and Marjorie filmed it all. Laughing. Actually laughing as her husband's blood splattered across the walls. They dragged him to the garage. Didn't want to ruin the carpet. That's enough for the camera, Marjorie finally said. Don't kill him yet. We need him conscious for the final part. Final part. He attacks you with a weapon. You struggle. The gun goes off. Tragic accident. They left him crumpled against his truck, assuming he was too broken to move. Marjorie wanted to change clothes. Dante would finish it in 20 minutes. Royce heard them walk back inside. Heard the shower start. He'd taken 23 hits. 3 broken ribs. Left arm fractured in 2 places. Possible skull fracture. Every breath felt like knives. But Royce Monroe was his father's son. The old man had taught him something. Pain is temporary. Quit is forever. He dragged himself inch by inch across the concrete, leaving a blood trail to where his phone had skittered under the workbench. Cracked screen. Still worked. He scrolled with his thumb, vision blurring. Found the number. Pressed call. 1 ring. 2. 3. Primo. That you? Cousin. Royce whispered, tasting blood. Make them vanish. What happened? Where are you? Home. Wife. Boyfriend. Baseball bat. 23 times. They're going to kill me. 3 seconds of silence. When Octavio spoke again, his voice was ice. Stay breathing. I'm 40 minutes out. You hear me, Royce? Stay alive for 40 minutes. They're coming back soon. Going to shoot me. Then hide. Fight. Do whatever you have to do. I'm coming, and I'm bringing Mike. A pause. Don't call the cops. Don't call anyone else. This is family business now. The line went dead. Royce heard footsteps above. He looked around the garage with new eyes. Tools. Weapons. Choices. The nail gun sat on the workbench, fully loaded. He had 40 minutes to survive. When the garage door opened, Dante's voice carried easy and confident. Time to finish this, baby. Remember, Marjorie said, he attacked you first. You had no choice. Royce rolled out from behind the truck and fired. The nail sank 2 inches into Dante's thigh. The men screamed, stumbling backward. Royce fired again. The second nail caught Dante's shoulder. He dropped the gun he'd been carrying. Royce's own gun. Stolen from his safe. Shoot him. Marjorie screamed. But Dante was too busy screaming, clawing at the nail in his shoulder. Marjorie grabbed the weapon herself. The first shot rang out, deafening. The bullet pinged off the truck bed. Amateur. Panicking. Not aiming. She fired twice more, wild. Royce counted. His .38 held 6. 3 rounds left. He was trapped. The kitchen door was already cut off. Then he heard it. Tires on gravel. A car door slamming. Octavio had made it in 35 minutes. The garage door exploded inward. Octavio Lester wasn't a large man, 5'10", lean build, but he moved like violence personified. Behind him came Mike Chavez, 6'4", and built like a linebacker. Marjorie swung the gun toward them. Octavio closed the distance before she could fire, his hand clamping on her wrist, twisting. The gun clattered to the floor. Mike had Dante in a headlock 3 seconds later. Royce. Octavio's eyes found his cousin. Jesus Christ. I stayed alive. That you did, Primo. They moved them to the basement. Concrete walls. Soundproofing Royce had installed himself. Only one small window, now covered. A doctor arrived 40 minutes later, a quiet man in his 60s named Russell Duncan who asked no questions and accepted cash. 3 broken ribs. Fractured arm in 2 places. Moderate concussion. Extensive soft tissue damage. While Russell worked, Octavio dealt with everything else. The neighbor's security camera, a cash arrangement and a deleted file. Dante's Mustang, driven to a chop shop in Oklahoma, parts by morning. Their phones cloned, location data spoofed. According to GPS, they were currently having a wonderful time in Cabo. By the time Royce came out of surgery, the trail was clean. In the basement, Octavio had been busy. Marjorie had revealed a secret account she'd been skimming from Royce's business for 6 months. Small amounts. Nothing he'd notice. $40,000 total, saved as starting capital after he was gone. Dante confirmed it. He'd run the same scam before, 2 women in Austin, 1 in Houston, always stopping before things went too far. But Marjorie had wanted Royce dead. The next morning, they made a video. Confessions. Every detail of the affair, the planning, the attack. Octavio broke Marjorie's index finger on the first take for stumbling. By the third take, both of them delivered their confessions with tears and perfect clarity. Then Octavio laid out the choice. Option 1, he said calmly. I call the police. Show them this confession, show them the footage Marjorie took of the attack. You both go to prison for attempted murder. Texas still has the death penalty. You'd probably get life without parole. Dante looked hopeful. Marjorie's eyes went wide. Option 2, Octavio continued, walking to a metal table where 2 syringes sat filled with clear liquid. You play a game. One of these is saline. One is potassium chloride. Cardiac arrest in 90 seconds. You each pick one, inject yourselves. 50-50 chance. One of you might walk out. That's insane, Marjorie whispered. Is it? You were going to shoot Royce. Pull a trigger, end his life. This is the same thing. Except now you're gambling with your own. Dante broke first. She goes first. Marjorie screamed. Begged. But Dante had made the choice for both of them. Her hand shook as she picked up the syringe. She pressed it to her neck. Closed her eyes. Pushed the plunger. 30 seconds. 60. 90. Nothing. She collapsed sobbing with relief. Dante stared at the remaining syringe, his face gray. Your turn, Octavio said. He fought. Screamed. Promised everything. But Mike was stronger. The needle went in. The plunger went down. Royce spoke from the stairs for the first time. You smiled when you hit me. The 23rd time, you were laughing. Dante's eyes found him. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She made me. Liar, Royce said flatly. You enjoyed it. 90 seconds later, Dante Pham was dead on the basement floor. Marjorie was still screaming. You lied. You said one was safe. I lied, Octavio agreed. Both syringes had potassium chloride. But you believed so hard that you'd survive that your mind made it real. Placebo effect. Psychology. You're a monster. No, Marjorie. I'm a mirror. I show people what they really are. Over the next 6 hours, Octavio laid out her future with surgical precision. Every hidden account transferred to Royce. Every asset in her name signed over. The confession video stored in multiple locations. If she ever resurfaced, if she ever contacted Royce, if she ever breathed wrong, it all went to the police. And her identity. Marjorie Monroe would cease to exist. She'd become someone else, somewhere far from Dallas, with a new name and no past. You get to live, Octavio said. But you don't get to be you anymore. Before Mike drove her out, Octavio brought her to Royce one last time. Look at him, he said. Look at what you tried to destroy. Royce stood there, bandaged and broken, but alive. His eyes were ice. I loved you, he said quietly. I would have given you everything. I know, Marjorie whispered. I'm sorry. No. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. He stepped closer. You're going to live a long life. Every day you're going to wake up and remember this moment. Remember that you destroyed everything for a parasite who would have abandoned you the second things got hard. And you're going to know that somewhere, I'm living the life we should have had. Without you. Take her away, Royce said. I'm done looking at her. The car drove into the night. 6 months later, Royce Monroe stood in a new office overlooking downtown Denver. He'd moved the business, rebranded it, expanded into commercial development. All 47 of his men had followed him. The broken bones had healed. Physical therapy had restored most of his strength. The scars remained, but they were reminders now, nothing more. Octavio stopped by for lunch once a week. They talked business, family, the future. Never about that night in the basement. Some things didn't need revisiting. Dante's family had reported him missing. The investigation went nowhere. The trail Octavio built led to Mexico, then South America, then nothing. Probably dead in a cartel dispute, the police theorized. Case went cold. In Portland, a woman named Jennifer Walsh woke up screaming every night. Same nightmare. The sound of an aluminum bat cutting through air. Her husband's blood on her hands. A voice that wouldn't stop whispering. You get to live. But you don't get to be you anymore. Good. Royce deleted his daily update from Mike and looked out at the mountains. His father used to say that construction was about building foundations. Solid ground that would support everything above it. He'd been talking about concrete and steel. But Royce understood the deeper meaning now. He'd had to tear down the old foundation completely. The marriage, the house, the life he thought he was building. And in the ruins, he'd found something no one could swing a bat at and break. Himself. Not the men who'd trusted blindly. Not the men who'd worked himself hollow for someone who called him boring. Someone harder. Smarter. Unbreakable. A knock at his office door. Boss, the Henderson project team is here for the meeting. Be right there. He grabbed his plans and walked to the conference room without a limp. The pain was gone. The anger had faded to a dull ember, controlled, managed, his. 23 swings of a baseball bat had killed the old Royce Monroe. What woke up in that garage was something else entirely. Not the kind of monster that destroys innocent people. The kind that protects what matters, punishes the guilty, and builds empires from ashes. His team stood as he entered. Let's get to work, Royce said, spreading the plans across the table. We've got a city to build.